Dr. Armstrong?
What? What? I must say, I don't think much of this barging in on people when they are...
Ministering to the sick?
I don't find that amusing, sir. Not in the slightest.
Dr. Armstrong, if it will relieve your mind at all, I don't think there's anyone alive on this island who truly believes you are a teetotaler.
Somehow that doesn't relieve my mind one bit.
You protest too much, then eye the drinks tray as if it were manna from heaven. You sneak off to your room to freshen up every chance you get.
All right, Mr. Narracott, you've made your point. What do you want?
Who do you think is the killer?
Miss Brent. Knitting, always knitting. Like Madame Defarge in A Tale of Two Cities. Madame Defarge knitted the names of those destined for the guillotine. Revenge, sir. It seems an apt analogy. Also, I don't much like Bible thumpers.
Have you any proof?
Proof, sir, is for the police. I have a doctor's instincts. My instinct tells me that anyone that self-righteous and repressed might easily turn to murder. What did she call Mrs. Rogers' death? An act of God. A woman like that could easily cast herself in the role of God's sword.
Any idea who Mr. Owen's next victim might be?
No idea, but I assure you I plan to see it as not I.
Better lock your door then, Doctor. I walked right in.
Thank you for your time, Doctor.
Come here, Mr. Narracott. Don't be shy, it's only me.
Communing with the dead, Judge?
In a way, the law is much like necromancy. We delve, the dead give up their secrets.
What has General Mackenzie told you?
Notice the picture of his dear wife. Leslie, I believe he said her name was. The glass has been smashed, perhaps by the same blunt object that did for the General.
But why?
If we knew that, we might be further along in our inquiries, don't you think? If I had to hazard a guess, I'd say it has something to do with love. It's one of the prime motives, you know. Greed, revenge, and love. Love has killed as many as either of the other two.
Who do you think the killer is?
Lombard is a man used to killing. He freely admits it. It could be a classic double bluff. Plead that he is guilty so that we assume his innocence. He's used to taking matters into his own hands. If he suddenly decided for whatever reason that 10 people had to die, I doubt he'd sit still for natural causes.
Any idea who Mr. Owen's next victim will be?
If I were you, Mr. Narracott, I'd watch my own back. Blore is all bluster. I'm past my prime. Armstrong is easily manipulated. Miss Brent's Bible provides all her answers. Miss Claythorne is like a deer caught in onrushing headlights, which is why I suppose you and Mr. Lombard find her so attractive.
You don't miss much, do you?
I miss nothing. And if it doesn't seem too egotistical of me, I can't help feeling that Mr. Owen knows that. Even intended this mystery for me. Why, I can't say, but he didn't count on you, my young friend. I'm hoping that together we may yet thwart him.
Good evening, Judge. They don't get along. Et voila. Although I don't condone smoking, who am I to judge a judge? Are you sure you can't tell me what you were hinting at about Marsden's politics?
Marsden's family was furious with him for becoming involved with a London group enamored of Mr. Hitler's expansionist policies. It's always sad when the younger son of a great family goes astray.
Good evening, Judge.
Mr. Narracott, you startled me.
Sorry, Rogers. Rogers, what are you doing?
I've already locked the door between the kitchen and the dining room. No one will be able to play tricks with those sailor boy figures tonight, at any rate.
Who do you think the killer is?
Miss Claythorne, of course.
Why?
She brought the rhyme to our attention. She seems innocent of her crime. I think it's just a blind.
Aren't you innocent of your crime?
We're not talking of me, sir. And she's the least likely suspect with drunken doctors, wily judges, religious zealots, cowardly hunters, and you, whatever you are, running about.
Usually it's the butler who's the least likely suspect.
Not where I come from, sir.
Any idea who Mr. Owen's next victim might be?
Miss Claythorne.
But you said she was Mr. Owen.
Did I? Then Miss Brent.
Why?
There's something terrible about her. There's hard steel under those frumpy clothes. Mark my words. Owen would do well to polish her off before she gets her knitting needles into him.
Good evening, Mr. Rogers. How goes the investigation, Blore?
Better than yours, I'll wager.
Who do you think the killer is?
Rogers, of course. In my experience, it's almost always a servant. And he's the only one still standing.
Rogers' background seems like an open book. He may have had a motive for killing his wife, but why kill the others?
The judge thinks it's a maniac. That's motive enough.
Even maniacs have motives that make sense to them.
Perhaps. Not being one, I wouldn't have an opinion about that.
Any idea who Mr. Owen's next victim will be?
I'm the biggest threat to him. A professional investigator. He's lucky he's gone undetected this long. I'm closing in and he knows it.
Good evening, Mr. Blore. Candy, ice cream. The next feature will be beginning shortly.
Mr. Narracott.
We can't blame him for snooping about in the dark, Vera dear. I'm afraid it's in his nature.
Were you looking for us?
For you, certainly.